Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, we can't praise you enough for the way that you are conducting this committee. I think this is really in the best tradition of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, in the way that people might understand it to be, but oftentimes it is not. And I thank you, Senator Cardin, for your excellent work in helping to create a bridge that has brought us to this moment. But I also want to thank Senator Menendez and Senator Kaine for their work in ensuring that there would be a protection of congressional prerogatives, especially in an area where the sanctions were actually a congressional idea. It originated here. And to a very large extent, that is why the Iranians have come to the table. So it's altogether fitting and appropriate that we are at this moment, and that there is going to be an assertion of this congressional prerogative to oversee such an important matter. So we congratulate all of you, and by the way, every member of the committee who participated in this process. There is no more important subject for the Congress to have to deal with. The IAEA is perhaps the least well-known, most important institution on the planet. That is what we are going to be debating over the next 4 or 5 months, the role that the IAEA can play in avoiding a dramatic escalation of nuclear weapons proliferation in the Middle East that we have avoided for 70 years. And so it's going to be critical for the Senate, for the House, to be able to determine the adequacy of the inspections regime, the funding made available to ensure that the IAEA can be the policeman on the beat, can be the protector against the compromise of a civilian nuclear program that in the wrong hands can turn into a nuclear bomb factory. That's what this is all about. That's why the Israelis are looking at this so closely. It is why the Saudis, the Egyptians, the Turks are all looking at this one issue so closely. Because if we get it wrong, it is going to lead to the escalation that we have avoided over all of these decades. And so this is a big moment, and I think this committee has handled this issue very responsibly. And I think, to a certain extent, just listening to expert opinion, I think there's kind of a surprise that some people have had with regard to the specificity in the agreement, which Senator Kerry and Senator Moniz, Secretary Moniz, and President Obama have brought back to America. And it should give us some hope that an agreement can be reached that accomplishes all of those goals. But it's also appropriate for this committee, for the Senate, to advise and consent, okay, to have a role in conducting the hearings, in hearing the evidence, and then making the decision. Because a lot of the rest of the history of the 21st century is going to actually ride on how this agreement is, in fact, written and enforced. And so I keep coming back to thanking you for the way in which you're conducting it. It's the appropriate role for this committee and for the Senate. And I can't praise Senator Kaine, Menendez, Cardin, and you, Mr. Chairman, for the incredible work which you have done. And I yield back.